Nigel Crothers is a 14-year-old male who lives with his mother. Nigel doesn't respond to reasonable instructions of his teachers in all subjects. His behaviour fluctuates between being compliant and respectful through to being violent, disrespectful and even vulgar. This is often due to whether or not he has taken his medications. Nigel has real problems with and at school.
Nigel experiences an instability of mood, which can sometimes cause him to be disruptive in class, even to the point of threatening violence. When on his medication, Nigel is calm, pleasant and engaged in class, but when he is off it, he is unstable and unpredictable. Nigel's home situation is also unstable, and this often prevents him from consistently taking his medication and engaging in his own recovery. Students like Nigel, who suffer from a mental illness, which causes their behaviour to become erratic and negatively affects their ability to learn, will need extra support not only at home but also in the classroom. Nigel is on a behaviour contract negotiated between him and the school, and further lenience may be required to accommodate his condition. Jones writes that school systems need to adjust their culture to foster an increase of self-esteem and self-worth in all students, whether they are mentally ill or not, so more students can adjust to new school settings and achieve better results academically. Nigel's behavioural contract is an incentive to behave, but medication and mental illness themselves can impact negatively on cognitive function. Greenberg, Domitrovich and Bumbarger write that children with behavioural disorders have poorer social skills, higher rates of cognitive distortions, example hostile attribution bias, and cognitive deficits, example poor problem solving. These social cognitive factors not only contribute to the development of problem behaviour, but are also a consequence of it. This needs to be considered when setting completion deadlines for Nigel's tasks, as he may be feeling that his cognitive function has slowed, making clear thought near impossible. Providing a stable routine and environment for Nigel will be paramount in achieving successful outcomes, as routine is often a huge part of aspect for treatment of mental illness. This allows for Nigel to develop good behaviours and habits in the classroom, which he can take home with him, such as taking his medication consistently, staying focused on tasks, and contributing to discussion. Nigel may also require more toilet breaks or just in-class breaks so that stress can be minimised and he can come back refreshed and on task. Nigel can either be referred to a school counsellor, or the teacher can teach him outside of class mindfulness practice or meditation, which he can use as a strategy to calm himself down and order his thoughts in class. Mindfulness practice is where a person is taught to remove themselves from their thoughts, so to relax or not to feel controlled by them. It is a strategy that needs to be actively practiced by the person, as it is not an instant skill, rather a retraining of the way a person thinks and responds to situations. Felver, Derner, Jones, Kay and Merrill write that by intentionally redirecting and holding their awareness, participants actively decrease their emotional arousal, eventually calm down, and then consciously choose a response to the situation that is non-aggressive.
Nigel's case is a perplexing one to say the least. His actions, as well as his social context, play a significant role in his well-being and his ability to be a successful learner within the school community. His failure to adhere to the reasonable instructions and demands that are issued by the teaching staff of his school are troubling. However, I do have a few suggestions that can assist the teaching staff in dealing with this particular behaviour. Firstly, Nigel's indifference to the teaching staff stems from his inability to comprehend and value socially acceptable behaviour. As a result of his social cultural environment outside of the school grounds, Nigel values social interaction and attention more than academia and being compliant with instructions. The social expectations that are set by the school are not something that he has to adhere to at home. any intervention the school takes with Nigel will require changing his understanding of what is acceptable in social settings outside of home. As we're seeking to reprogram the way in which Nigel views his world and make them more compatible with societal norms, the suggested intervention will be based mainly on cognitive behavioural theories. However, as the Lifford model forms the basis of our approach, the interventions will incorporate a number of different theoretical areas of thinking. In order to have the best results for Nigel and the school, a multi-tier intervention approach will be necessary. This means that we'll be utilising intervention strategies that are focused around the entire school, not just on Nigel. As Nigel's school is already utilising a whole school approach to behaviour management, which mirrors the positive behavioural interventions and supports that is used in the USA, it is recommended that the school has Nigel negotiate a behavioural contract with them. This contract will outline both Nigel's expectations of school and the school's expectations of Nigel, as a method of appropriating Nigel's values together with the school's requirements. Nigel will have his behaviour documented class by class, with his contract used as a guideline to outline the standards of his success. After each class, Nigel will discuss his behaviour with his teacher and work towards improving his behaviour against what he has set out to achieve. Nigel would also benefit from having a support mentor, as the additional attention provided by them could deter him from causing these class-disrupting behaviours that have become synonymous with his name. The support mentor would monitor his behaviour and be a role model that provides him with additional social skill instruction and academic support while in class. As the academic year progresses, Nigel's behaviour will be regularly discussed amongst his teachers and his mentor in order to track his progression and to outline his weekly trajectory. Staff will regularly update his guardian with his progression, positive or negative, to also attempt to re-engage them both with the school community. To motivate students that express similar behavioural issues to Nigel, a positive reinforcement strategy can be put into effect in order to reward those students to continue making positive changes to their behaviour. This strategy can utilise positive behaviour points that can be redeemed for awards that are selected by the students.
Nigel had relational difficulties which is constantly manifested in the form of bullying and peer pressure. To better understand the causes and effects of his relational difficulties, it is important to address the relevant psychological and educational theories. Socio-cognitive theory, first proposed in 1941 by Miller and Dollard, and later developed in 1963 by Bandura and Walters, focuses on the principles of observational learning and replicated reinforcement, while highlighting the link between information storage and processing behavior to social relations. In this theory, underdeveloped information processing system causes a lack or reduction in the social skills required for successful positive social interactions. This lack of interpersonal skills becomes a causative for bullying and aggression. This, according to Crick and Dodge's 1996 study describing bullies as socially unskilled. Children have a tendency to replicate the behaviors modeled to them, and children who are exposed to aggressive adults most times becomes aggressors themselves. From a neurological standpoint, when individuals are constantly exposed to violence, their brain becomes chemically altered. The resulting scars goes on to have negative impacts on their social relational skills. The hormonal and chemical differences coupled with exposure to aggressive environments increases the risk factor of aggression, and later progresses to even more dangerous form of aggression and bullying. According to Kuykendall, most bullying behavior tick 4 main boxes: purposeful act, intention to hurt, consistency in act of bullying, and presence of power imbalance. Another proposed theory is the social skills deficit model, which is an extension of the social cognitive theory, explains how the lack of social skills causes the individual to forcefully engage in aggressive acts with the thought that they will be gaining social power. This according to Sutton, Smith, and Swettenham's studies of 1999. 4 social skills of which a lack of is linked to bullying and aggression includes empathy, cooperation, self-control, and assertion, and early on damages to the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain, more specifically the hippocampus, normally proceed to diminish the individual aforementioned social skills. Garbage in, garbage out. The brain has the ability to soak in and encode behaviors. Domestic abuse and child neglect, according to Bowdry, eventually leads to similar behavior in the school environment.
Reflexes got the better of me, and what is to be must be. Every day the bucket goes to the well, but one day the bottom will drop out. Yes, one day the bottom will drop out. But I say, I shot sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy. Oh no, I shot the sheriff.